Mark Rogers TV running down positional units across the country. We stopped in the Big Ten at Northwestern in the Western Division of the Big Ten. Of course, they went 10-3 last year, and one of the big reasons why is they've got a super back. So I love this positional unit here because this is basically one guy, and really need a breakdown here from Zach Pereles from Inside NU. So we got a super back with the Wildcats, and we need to start out before we talk actual guys on the roster, what this position is all about, Zach.
So Superback, yeah, it's a great name for a position that really encompasses a guy that can play tight end, a guy that can line up in the backfield and be more of a traditional fullback, can line up on the line and block as a tight end or go out and catch as a tight end. So it's maybe more of like an H-back role. There aren't really a whole lot of comparisons to it, though. The last one that I could really think of, like in the pros maybe, is Chris Cooley of the Redskins. He's a guy that they would sometimes have line up in the backfield, line up at a tight end role. And then even last year, Northwestern was able to line up their superbacks out wide because they had a little bit of speed at that position.
Okay, so let's, before we break down 2016, Dan Vitali left his mark on this program. This kid caught 135 passes and 11 touchdowns. Just talk about how effective he was in the role and what he brought to the table.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very weird not having Dan Vitali lining up all over the formation this year. Vitali came to Northwestern, basically came to Evanston and earned his way into a starter's role about halfway through his first year. Dan Vitali was so valuable to this team, maybe not because of all of the receptions. You look at his numbers, you look at any numbers from last year, and that passing offense was not great. But Dan Vitali, you could stick him in the backfield, and he could block. That's why Justin Jackson was so good. You could stick him on the line, and you can get very good quality blocking. Or you could stick him out wide, and he actually like caught screen passes. He would catch passes down the field as well. He was a great blocker on the outside. So guy that, as cliche as it is, just loves playing football and was able to be a weapon no matter where you put him. Vitali, it's going to be very weird not having him, and he had this great flow, great curly locks coming out of his helmet, which he actually ended up donating near the end of last year. But it's going to be very weird not having number 40 all over the formation. He was very, very valuable to Pat Fitzgerald.
Okay, Zach, when we run down the two guys that filled a spot here in 2016, the first guy, when you mention what school he was wrestled away from, that's going to catch people's attention right there, because you probably get sick of hearing this, Zach, but when Northwestern wins games, when they beat some decent teams, when they win bowl games, when they do those things, people always disclaim it. Oh, man, they overachieved. Look, they beat Stanford. Something must have been wrong with Stanford. You've heard it all. And obviously, when you win games, it's like, okay, something must have been wrong with the other team, or wow, they're the little engine that could, and we're glad that they're able to do something. But you're able to pluck one away from one of the superpowers of college football.
Garrett Dickerson is a guy. If you could go into a video game and create a player, you might make a guy that looks exactly like Garrett Dickerson in terms of build. Guy is 6'3", 245, just chiseled, muscular guy, fantastic blocker. And you're right, they took him away from Alabama, which you do not see that very often in Northwestern. I think you could probably count on one hand how many times Northwestern's ever taken away a recruit from Alabama. Garrett Dickerson, it helped that his brother Cam was at the school at the time. Cam is now graduated. But Garrett Dickerson is a guy that's going to need to step up for this team. Great blocker, can just push guys into the backfield. We mentioned the strength a little bit. Needs to learn how to run routes and catch the football, though. And he didn't take a redshirt year. People were a little bit surprised because of that. And he played decently, only caught 4 passes, that increased that to 12 last year. But people are really expecting big things out of him. Obviously, you see that Alabama offer, and you expect him to be a superstar right away. But Dan Vitali was so good that he didn't get a whole lot of playing time those first 2 years. This third year is going to be hugely important for him and hugely important for this team if he can develop into anything close to what Vitali was. He certainly has the size and the skill set.
So you mentioned the 12 receptions, 124 yards, just about 10 yards per reception. Jamie Taylor also in the mix, not on the field last year, caught 9 passes 2 years ago.
Jamie Taylor is looked at, if Garrett Dickerson's kind of looked at as the Thunder, then you have Jamie Taylor as the Lightning. Jamie Taylor, you're right, he missed last year with an ankle injury that was really, really unfortunate. Something that just happened in practice, and he just missed the rest of the year. But Jamie Taylor is a guy that they're looking to contribute. He's a very smooth athlete, good pass catcher, pretty good size at 6'4", 220. Obviously not as big or stocky as Garrett Dickerson is, but a guy that can stretch the field a little bit more, very smooth route runner, good hands. The big thing for Northwestern is they were able to get a good blocker and a good pass catcher in one with Dan Vitali. Now they kind of have 2 guys that combined would make a very solid football player. So it'll be interesting to see if Garrett Dickerson's made strides catching the ball, if Jamie Taylor's made strides in the blocking game. Northwestern loves to run the ball. So if you can't present a very good blocking ability at that super back position, you're not going to see too much of the field. So Jamie Taylor's going to have to improve that aspect of his game.
Northwestern looking for a spark in the passing game. Maybe they get that from the super back. It could be Garrett Dickerson, obviously the physical freak, or Jamie Taylor coming back from an injury in 2015. Zach Pereles from Inside NU helping us break down Northwestern's super back spot. Appreciate it, Zach.
Thanks so much for having me.